Microsoft Word Tips: How to Create a Resume from Scratch, brought to you by the Marquette University Career Services Center. We're going to be walking through Microsoft Word to learn how to set up a Word document in a way that's easy to use. Keep in mind there are multiple ways to do a resume. We are just showing you a few tips to help you get started. We recommend creating your resume from a blank Word document, as formatting with templates can get wonky when you're using them and even when you go to submit them. Additionally, they can misguide their users based on the jobs that they're applying to. Some templates use color and other stylistic choices that are not recommended. The general rule of thumb is to have a standard black and white resume. However, there are some instances when color and style can be used, but it's typically industry specific. If you have questions about design and color on your resume, be sure to check in with a career counselor. Lastly, anyone can use the Word template, and they can sometimes be easy to pick out in a crowd. You want your resume to stand out as it is the employer's first impression and typically what lands you an interview. You want to make sure that you put in the time to ensure that you have an original resume that stands out. Let's practice on Microsoft Word. Once you get into a blank Word document, the very first thing that you're going to want to do is set up your margins. Typically, you keep your margins between a ½ inch and an inch all the way around. The way to go in to change your margins is by layout, margins here on the far left, and you can keep it on normal, which would be an inch all the way around, or select narrow. You can also create custom margins. I'm going to select narrow for our example. Next, we want to set up our tabs. In order to do that, you're going to need to set up your ruler tool. To get the ruler tool, go into View, select Ruler. It's just a little check mark right there, and this ruler is going to pop up. Once you have the ruler, you can go in, and all you have to do is double click somewhere on that ruler tab, and this tab pop-up is going to appear. You can go ahead and clear all the previous tabs, and we're going to set one up on the left, the middle, and the right. The reason to use tabs is to ensure that all of your alignment stays stacked on top of each other and is consistent format throughout. So what we're going to do is we're going to set your left tab at 0, and then your right one is going to be right around that 7.5 mark. 7.5. And then that middle one is going to be half of 7.5, which is 3.75. So we can set that one. So now we have the left, the center, and the right. So we can press OK. Once you have those tabs, it's really easy to navigate all your info from the left to the right. The next thing that you can start to think through is the font size and the font style that you want to use. We typically recommend Times New Roman, Georgia, Bookman Old Style, and Garamond. Additionally, for your font size, you'll want to keep the context of your body between 10 and 12 points. Your name is going to be the biggest thing on your page. So you can change this one to be upwards of 14 and maybe even 16, depending on your font size. For the sake of time, I went ahead and put in some predetermined information in ours. Again, I have the margins and tabs set up just like we did in the other Word document and added some information. So the very first thing I added was address, then I added in my name and email address and contact information, and then as well as my address on the other side. So the reason why you might have two addresses is a home address and then your Marquette address or Milwaukee address. Additionally, I went ahead and added in an education section and just put the name of the university I'm attending, the location, graduation year, what I'm studying, and then some optional components are GPA and honors. So then once we have some of our content generated, we can go in and start adding that design. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this line and paragraph spacing, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the space so that it all stacks nicely on top of each other. I'm going to do that with both of our sections here. And then once you have that, you can start to really add in some of those styles. So for example, you can add bold and italics. I'm going to go ahead and bold Marquette because I think that that's probably one of the most important things in this education section. Secondly, I'm going to italicize the GPA. And one thing to note is to make sure you round that to 3 decimal points out of a 4.0 scale. The last thing you can do to add some design is go up to this borders tool on the other side of the paint can, and you can go ahead and add different borders so that it adds really clear, nice lines. After doing that, you have your section pretty well built. Again, there's no rhyme or reason as to like what you bold and italicize. Just make sure that it's consistent and you're bolding and italicizing things that you want the reader's eye to be drawn to. But we're going to go ahead and start creating a relevant experience section. And again, like all the other sections, I'm going to build out the entire section and then add my detail at the end. So I'm going to create a barista role at the brew. And the way that I'm creating these sticks or dividers is above the enter key, there's a slash and then there's a stick. And so all you have to do is press that shift key and then above the enter key so that you can add in those dividers. Need to add in the notation. And then now you can use your tabs to go tab to the right, making sure that all of your dates are aligned. And this is where you could add the month and year that you started to the month and year that you ended, or if it's ongoing, present. So then I'm going to go ahead and press enter, add my bullet points. And this is where I could say delivered exceptional customer service by greeting customers as they arrive and taking orders. Awesome. Once we do that, for consistency purposes, we need to go in and we need to add our borders. And then we can start to play around with what we want to bold and italicize. So maybe I want to bold the position and I want to italicize the place of employment. That's one style choice. And it really does not, again, matter what you bold and italicize. It just matters that it's consistent. So when I list future positions, I'll need to bold the position and I'll need to italicize the place of employment. We hope you enjoyed this video on Microsoft Word tips and how to set up a resume from scratch. Check out our other videos or social media platforms for more resume and cover letter suggestions, as well as career-related advice. If you have any other questions, please call or stop into our office and we'd be happy to help. Like, subscribe, and have a great day.